Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Spellbinders and the Amazing Paper Grace Die of the Month, and this is for August. And here we are going to make a 3D vignette telephone. Now there's going to be another project that I made as well, and I'll be able to show you that at the end. Yeah, I did a video, sorry. Okay. So, these are your dies. So you can see by the placement of my hand there, it is a nice size die. And this is one of those wonderful 3D vignettes that Becca Feeken has designed before. So this is really cool because when you pull up the handles of the telephone, you can put your message, there's dies to do cutouts, you can put photos. So it's really kind of cool, very different. And of course, when I saw this telephone, I immediately thought vintage. Of course, I'm sure when our youngins look at this, they probably go, huh? What is that? Yeah, they probably have never even seen a dial phone. I'm just saying. So these are all the pieces that we've cut. Now, I've cut a little bit more. So I've cut a front and a back out of pattern paper, and then I also cut two for the front and the back of solid cardstock. So you can see you need 4 handles. You really only need two of the front and the back, but I wanted to add color. So I wanted to add some pattern paper. Now this pattern paper is from one of the paper packs that you get from the card kit. You're going to need 2 pieces for the top of the phone where the handles are sitting. I have all of my bits and pieces for the dial. You need 4 of the holders for the vignette, and then you're going to need 4 of the dividers for that. So these are all of the pieces. Of course, then you're going to need 4 of each side for the handset, and then the little tiny piece that stopped your finger from when you dialed. So let's get into this. I am going to show you the entire construction from start to finish of our vignette telephone. Now, the thicker your cardstock, the better the impressions are going to be seen because they do emboss. You can see them on the paper, but not as well. So that's just a little bit of an FYI. So I have a solid piece for the back, and I have a more floral tone for the front. Nothing too big. I went with a smaller design. I'm making sure that the liquid adhesive that I'm using is on the edge because I don't want this to lift up. Once they are adhered, we will move on to the next piece. It looks like it's a lot to construct, but it is very simplistic. All right, it's not difficult. So now that I have the handsets, and you can see the wonderful embossing, if you can see that in the upper, on the left-hand side of the handset. And what you can see is the die also creates a different effect for that part that you were able to unscrew off of the phone, off of the handset. Yes, see, I remember this type of phone. These phones were awesome. Just saying. And I'm going to make sure that they are glued. So I did choose the pattern paper that I did for the front, just to give that a little bit stronger of an accent for each of these handles. I did choose a green that was on the pattern paper as well, just to kind of pull that out. To make that stand out just a little bit. Okay, I apologize for that. That's when my husband walked in, gave me a quote, and no, we didn't go with it. Yeah, no. So, moving on. So, I'm going to set the handsets aside. Now, there is another piece that goes to those handsets, and I apologize. I didn't show that in the beginning of the video with the rest of my die cuts, and here they are. So they have a curved edge, and this here is where you can put your message, a photo. You could do another design on these cards. They do have dies so that you can do cutouts. but they just simply attach to the front right underneath that line that is embossed in the handset. Once they're done, I'm just going to set those aside so that they can dry. And now we're going to work on the details of the telephone itself. So this piece here just goes from end to end, and it just creates a ledge. So I am going to put that onto the front and the back. So remember, this will go flat, that it will fit into a standard A2 size envelope. Just like her other vignettes, they do slide, or fold up and down. You can compress them. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So the back will be seen. It's not like a typical card that we make where we really don't do anything to the back. This here, you can decorate that. So you could make this two-sided. You would just need to cut 2 dials. You could have 2 of those handsets sitting to the front, 2 of the handsets sitting to the back, so you'll always have them going back and forth. You can say I also put the top of the handset, so I'm kind of hiding the pattern paper, but that's all that I'm going to do. I did want the rest where the handsets are going to sit be the same color as them. I'm bending the tabs that are clearly scored by the die to create now this vignette. Now, since I have the pattern paper on top, you will see the marks where these are to go. So I'm just bending my cardstock just a little bit so that I can see it, because the tab, the edge of the tab that's on the inside goes along that score line. So the score line is going to be to the inside of those tabs. Same thing for the top. The score line goes to the inside of that tab. Now, I am using liquid glue. What I will say about art glitter glue is it does grab a hold quickly. And that's the type of glue you want. I would highly recommend a good double-sided tape adhesive. One, it's easier to use. Just saying. It's just easier to use. You'll see that I will actually switch over to double-sided tape at some point. So you have these notches, and you want to make sure that with these bars that go across, there is a notch that sits in the tab. So you have this little tab coming out, and then this little tiny slice. You want to make sure that that is to the bottom, because you're going to put that corner in first, and then you're going to slide it down. So that's what locks it. When it slides down into that slot, that's what holds it in place. And you can see that as I'm putting all these in. I do one side first, and then I pull in the other side. For me, I find that to be easier. Now, I was very fortunate, because one of the things that I didn't do, usually when I do this, I put the one side on, and then I flatten it out and put my piece on top. I did not do that. I will say this, they were perfectly placed. As long as you put those score lines to the inside of the edge of that tab, then they are perfectly matched. So again, I'm using my liquid glue, and here is where I say the double-sided tape would be better. The glue, while it's quick, okay, it's not going to be quick enough. It is going to slide a little bit. It is going to move. So real quick, you can see it's just coming apart on me, which is okay. We keep going. It's just glue. And it's on the inside. No one will see it. So this was really struggling the way that I was putting this on. And finally now, I did just finally say, okay, you know what? I need double-sided adhesive. And you can see now I'm flattening this down, making sure that these pieces are going to lay flat. Now, I'm still not giving up on the glue, but I do so highly suggest double-sided tape. Because here it goes. This was just a struggle, and here it comes. Now, this is the double-sided tape that actually comes in the card kit. I think their double-sided tape is great. It's nice and strong, and it holds this just absolutely fine. When it comes to, when I can finally get the release paper off and get that set in place. You also want to make sure that you do this for the top, or you need to do that for your top as well. I do suggest, though, to connect the bottom first and play with that. Bend that back and forth so that the paper gets used to what it's doing and what it's going to do. Plus, I also wanted to make sure that the glue side, the adhesive that I used first, is still holding and has secured that. From here on out, I'm going to use that double-sided tape for these panels. Now, also with those panels with the slots, for the top ones, you want to make sure that, you see those notches up top? You want to make sure that they are facing up. You don't want them facing down. And you will see why in a moment. So see, yeah, double-sided tape, so much easier. So as you put your handsets in, each one goes into one of those notches. So each one has their own slot in the bottom with the panels to keep them separate. And they also have their own notch to sit in. And you can see just how that looks there. So we're going to set that aside. And now we're going to work on the dial. So lots of pieces going on here. Just lots of pieces. So I cut a solid piece first out of the outer oval, of course, and then I used the gold foil to create the where you put your finger through. Now, you could have raised that up. I did want this to be level, but it would be really cool if you were able, you know, die cut that a bunch of times to get that raised, because you actually put your finger through that hole so that you could turn it. Yes, I'm explaining this because I am sure there are some young people listening to this and they have no idea what this is. It's great. Isn't it wonderful how our technology has grown? I wish I could keep up, but it is amazing. So you can see I have some pink, I have some gold. When it comes to those numbers, I wanted to use an ivory background, and then I wanted to use the gold again for each of the numbers and the symbols. See, we had hashtags back then. We called it a pound sign. I'm just saying. Just saying. Now, come on. Some of you remember this. I know you're out there. So I'm using my tweezers. I'm also using my wax pencil to make sure that they are secured. I'm then going to come in now with the numbers. And this is where I'm thinking, do I want to go with the pink numbers? Do I want to go with the gold numbers? Or do I want to stick with the ivory numbers? I don't know why I would go with the ivory, but just in case. So I decided on the gold. Now, keep in mind that with the number 4, with the number 9, the 8, and the 6, you have to save those little, and the 0, you have to save the little tiny pieces in between. So all of that is sitting somewhere on the mat. And believe it or not, I didn't lose a one. They were all able to be found. So I'm just looking for them, and then I'm placing them within the number that they are for. Then I double cut this little tiny lip. Now, this is the piece that's set to stop your finger. So as you would, when you would choose the 9 and bring it around, when you hit that, that's what would register in the phone. I miss these phones. They made life so much simpler. I'm sorry. You know, you picked up, you dialed, you talked. You didn't have to do anything else. So I did use my double-sided foam squares just to prop that up, just to give it even more dimension. I'm going to grab some of my organza ribbon. I'm going to grab it in an ivory and a green, and I'm going to do a double bow. That double bow is going to sit above the dial. I'm just going to play around with that just to make sure that it's going to stay, and then I'm going to use a glue dot to secure that in place. I'm just going to angle my edges just a little bit. And I don't want to cover up the dial, but I do want that to be above it. So I am going to set that just above that dial, just below the handset area. I'm then going to grab some very thin burgundy ribbon. I thought this was a great accent piece, and I'm going to make a very small bow. I'm not sure how I pulled this off, but okay. Once I have that done, I'm going to trim off the sides, and that's going to sit in the center. That's a reason why I kept that solid. I want to be able to put something in there. So I'm going to make this small bow, and then I grabbed some cloth flowers from my stash, and I'm just going to glue them in the center just to create a bouquet in there, just a small one. And again, just accenting the pink within that pattern paper. Just going to clean off my area here because you should have seen it outside of the view of the camera. But here you can see each one has a slot, each one has its own nook, and that is our vignette telephone. So I think this is really cute. It's got so many possibilities, and you can see how it just goes back and forth and will fit into an A2 size envelope. So I know people are going to be upset. This is in real time just so that you can see all of the details of this. What I also made with this die set was an art journal. I really loved this set, and here is what it looks like. Please don't be upset. Please don't anybody leave me a mean comment. I did not film that. So I apologize. But I had a lot of fun. These are the details. I did use the same pieces. I cut the same pieces. I only used, as you can see, 2 handsets. I used some coffee dyed papers there. I did use the cutouts. These are the cutouts that come with it that say "Let's Chat, Hello Beautiful," and I used those for my quotes that sit on the art journal. So I know somebody's going to say, I really would have loved to have seen that, and I do apologize. Honestly, I thought I was taping, and I was not. Plus, I'm not quite sure how I would have been able to get both of them into one video, so I do apologize. But I will have more pictures up on the blog, and I'll show it on my Instagram, so sorry. But all the products that I used will be listed down below. I'm going to move on. All the products I use will be listed down below. Please make sure you check out their gallery for even more inspiration. And remember, this is the Amazing Paper Grace by Becca Feeken, the die of the month, and this is for August, and the 3D Vignette telephone. If you have any questions, please leave those down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Please don't holler at me too loud for not having the art journal up. I hope everyone is having a great day. Continue to stay safe and healthy, and thank you so much for taking this time out of your day just to watch this video. If you haven't yet, I'd love for you to subscribe, be a part of my group, And again, enjoy. But remember what's most important for me. Always be creative. Till next time, guys.